Today, I want to talk to you about transformation. Until we transform, it becomes hard for us to, one, manifest the visions that we actually have for our lives. Remember, potential is very useless. It's very useless when you don't actually bring it out. So transformation, in a sense, is natural in a sense that God, in His awesome design, He will make you uncomfortable to stay the same. But you can resist it. If you are this kind of a person and this is the world that you want to create, or the future that you want to create, you are called to a specific world that you are not yet part of. And in order for you to thrive in that space, then you definitely need to transform. A lot of people, man, they create that safety net that I'm talking about for themselves, whereby anything that is emotionally taxing, anything that is stretching them psychologically, they tend to step away from it, because they don't understand the fact that it has to be uncomfortable. Somebody once asked me, like, how do you know if you made the right decision or not? And my answer was this. I said that the right decision is not necessarily the decision that yields the result that you want, because you can't control the result to an extent. But it is the decision that you are willing to back. Greetings, ladies and gents. Welcome back to High Performers. We are back with another episode of changing our lives, of challenging ourselves, and then ensuring that we become those high-performing people. We become those exceptional performers in the spaces that we chose to play our part in. Today, I want to talk to you about transformation. If you think about it, we spoke about vision, we spoke about manifestation, but today I would like to talk about transformation, because I believe that until we transform, it becomes hard for us to, one, manifest the visions that we actually have for our lives. So the vision that you have for your life, in order for you to manifest it, you definitely have to transform into being a person who is an equivalent of that thing that you want to manifest. I remember in one of our episodes, there was a question that was asked by one of my colleagues when he was asking about how do you consistently be at the receiving end of the process of manifestation, consistently so. And then we spoke about, you really, in order for you to become that person, you actually need to transform. So let's talk about transformation. Some people, they call it metamorphosis. So this is when an immature form of an entity transforms into a more mature or a more adult form of that specific entity. It can be like a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's a transformation. So we need to transform, because I can promise you now that who you are today won't be able to keep you and sustain you in places that you want to actually go to. As you know, me and my format, I normally like to talk on points, guys. I like to talk on points. They help me anchor my delivery. They help me to stay on course. And then one of the things that I want to talk about, like the points I want to talk from, is that why do we need to transform? It might be that obvious, but why do we actually need to transform? So first point I want to speak on is that we want to transform because we want to unearth our potential. Remember, potential is very useless. It's very useless when you don't actually bring it out, because it's just there. It stays there. It has potential. It's like having a loaded gun, but you don't have the guts to pull the trigger. It's loaded. It has a potential danger to cause harm or to do whatever it is that you want to do with the gun. But if you don't have the guts to pull the trigger, then it just has the potential to cause the damage that it can cause. But the damage won't be caused until you pull the trigger. So it's the same thing with our potential. So our potential is sitting there. It's something that is very dormant. And then in order for us to actually make the most of it, then we need to get to a point whereby we transform. Because of when we transform, we realize that we are no longer the kids that we were. We are no longer the people who can hide behind the excuses that we normally have for ourselves. Like I, for one, I'm a parent, for instance. I'm no longer that kid who was at varsity or who was at high school who can make some excuses and then I get away with it. There are people who are dependent on me. There are kids who are dependent on me, literally. So then in other words, then I have to transform. I need to actually become like a bigger person. I need to grow. I need to make sure that I'm no longer like that child, that immature version of myself, because that version of myself will not be able to carry the pressures that come with the challenges that we face when we actually want to manifest what we want to manifest. So we really need to transform. I'm actually reminded of this story by like the story of the Israelites in the Bible when Moses was taking them out of Egypt to the promised land, Canaan. I think they said that they spent about 40 years, ne? I think it's about 40 years, running about the same mountain. I think it's Mount Sinai or something. Like 40 years, same mountain, same place, same mountain. So what they did not realize, it is that I think I got this from one of the preachers. He says that what they did not realize is that they thought that them praying God will move the mountain out of their way, and so that they can get to the promised land. What they were not realizing is that the mountain was changing them, so that they can transform and change into being people who are suitable and worthy of the promised land that God has promised them. Because there is so if you are a slave, these people have been enslaved for the rest of their lives. Getting a slave into a like a place or a state of freedom, it's not an easy thing. So even the Bible says, I think it was King Solomon, he says that woe unto a nation whose king is a slave. Think about that. Woe unto a nation whose king is a slave. And then the other translations, they say, woe unto a nation whose king is a child. Think about that. So much calamities will come to things that are taken care of by somebody who has not transformed. Somebody who has not gotten to a point whereby they see themselves as adults and as mature leaders of the things that they are leading. So as I was making an example about them, like the Mount Sinai that the children of Israelites were circling around, the purpose of the mountain was to change and transform them, so that they stop bickering, they stop whining, because that's what they were doing. Complaining, whining, I wish we could go back to Egypt. We were eating there and whatnot. Now we are here in this desert, hungry and whatever the case might be. They were busy whining and complaining. The majority of the people who got to the promised land were actually not the ones who got out of Egypt. That's the funny thing about it. So because of people who needed to get there are people who are free. And people who are free are people who are able to think for themselves. Because remember, you must think slavery is bad. I'm not saying slavery is good. But in an enslaved environment, it means your master tells you when to wake up, what to eat, what to wear, where to wash. Like everything that you do, your master tells you to do it, how to do it, and when to do it. As tough as it seems, but you have somebody who tells you how to do things or what to do. And now you are this person who has to run things, who has to run their own show, and now you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. So I promise you guys, we need to get to a point whereby we get into the process of transformation. And one of the points I want to make about transformation is that if you think about it, transformation is more natural than it is the thing that we do deliberately. And then I'm going to explain, because it must sound very, like people might not agree with what I'm saying. So it's very natural in this sense, ne? In a sense that you can't help it but grow. I'm talking about age. My fist was not this size. It was at some point this size. I can't help it, but the process of natural transformation, natural growth is there. A caterpillar, like whether it likes it or not, there's going to come a time whereby it needs to break out of its shell and become the butterfly. It's the natural process. So what I'm trying to say is that we might resist the transformation, but it is actually there. How do you see it? You see it by how uncomfortable you become when you are doing the same thing each and every single time. When you have subjected yourself to the life that you know is less than the life that you deserve, and it starts to become very uncomfortable. You will become like that caterpillar, whereby you are like, you feel so trapped by this small world or small things that you have subjected yourself to. So transformation, in a sense, is natural in a sense that God, in His awesome design, He will make you uncomfortable to stay the same. But you can resist it. A lot of people, they do resist it. They're like, no, I'm comfortable, I'm fine here. And then they find a way to fight the urge to wanna change and break away from the shell. And after they fight that edge, and then they create what we call a comfort zone. So, but however, transformation in itself, it is actually something that happens natural. There's no one under the sun who can tell me that they never had a glimpse of, I need to change this. This is not right for me. I need a better job. I need, like, my family deserves better. I deserve better. I can't stay like this. I cannot show up in the world like this. I cannot go to work and be this person. I cannot go to work and then be the person that complains about everything, or that the leaders complain about all the time. This has to change. So to an extent, there is a natural inclination to want to transform. But what do we do? Because of it takes work, it takes sweat, it takes some toil. So what do we do now? We resist the transformation because of the work that comes with actually transforming ourselves. Because of it is quite a painful experience, like for a lot of us. Because now you are becoming this thing that you've never been before. Then it means that you need to stretch yourself, like that butterfly when you try to, like when it tries to break out of the like its shell when it's still a caterpillar. I remember this story this other day. Who was I reading it? I remember where I read the story. They said, I think I was reading a book, and then they mentioned this story in the book. So they say, like, this little boy, it was like a 3-year or 4-year-old boy, watching a caterpillar trying to break out of that shell. And then he felt sorry for it because of it's struggling, right? Struggling to come out of the shell. And then, but the father is observing him. Then he goes to the shell, and then he tries to break it on the behalf of the caterpillar so that the caterpillar can break away from that shell. He did that. Few minutes later, the butterfly died. And the father went back to him. He said, you don't do that. You let it struggle through it because of it's struggling to break out of that. It's building its wings. It's building its strength. So when it comes out, like the transformation process has occurred, meaning that it has built the muscle, the stamina, and everything to sustain the world that it is going to, because of it's no longer part of that world, like inside that shell. So the same thing happens for all of us, guys. So we need to get to a point whereby we realize that transformation is not always sweet and nice. So it's gonna be emotionally taxing, psychologically taxing as well. So when we are like that caterpillar trying to break away from our own shells, it's gonna be painful. And then sometimes what happens, people who love us, and I'm putting in quotes, they will try to save us from those experiences. And when they do that, they're actually killing us. So you find yourself as somebody who's in drugs. You find yourself as somebody who abuses alcohol. You find yourself as somebody who does like a number of things to hurt or harm themselves. And then that happens because people sometimes, they try to help us and only to find out that they are actually killing us. So we need to understand that transformation is not always a sweet journey. It's not always a sweet thing. So sometimes it becomes like quite a emotionally taxing experience. The second point I want to make about why should we transform is so that we can be able to thrive in the world we are called to influence. Think about that. I'm saying the reason we need to transform is so that we are able to thrive in the world that we are called to transform. Because of now, if you are this kind of a person and this is the world that you want to create, or the future that you want to create, you are called to a specific world that you are not yet part of. And in order for you to thrive in that space, then you definitely need to transform. You find out that where you are now, you don't need wings, then it's fine. But where you're going to go, you're going to need wings. That caterpillar did not need the wings inside that shell, but it needed those wings when it went to, like when there was a time for it to break out of the shell. So we need to understand that we need to transform so that we thrive in the spaces that we are called to be part of or to thrive in. So I think that is quite key. The third point I want to make is that when we transform, guys, we build the instincts that are necessary for our calling. The instincts that are necessary for our calling. Because if you think about it, certain things are like we do them like based on instinct, and because of those things are very, like, instinct is very important in the sense that when you are in certain situations, you don't have the time to analyze and sit down and read things and find out how you're going to go about something. Sometimes it's the instinct that helps you to actually get out of certain situations. So in order for you to build that instinctive muscle, So you actually need to transform. You need to understand that I need to be slightly better, bigger than the person that I am today. So that transformation is very key. That metamorphosis process is very, very key. So we need to build those instincts. Before I move on to the last point, I just want to find out if my colleagues have any question. Okay, yeah, Kweku, you can ask the question.
So you talk about transformation, right? And transformation is like one of the hardest things to do, especially when you have to do it onto yourself.
Yeah.
And we live in a world where there's this big thing about mental health and being in a safe space, essentially. What would you say to someone who finds transformation?
Emotionally taxing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's affecting their mental health.
Yes, I mean they've created a
it's
safe
hard.
zone for themselves, which is where they are currently, right? Whatever situation that is. But obviously they haven't reached their full potential. Are there steps they need to take? Like what does the practicality of transformation look like for them?
So you're asking good questions today, Gwegwe. That's very good, guys. This guy does not ask all good questions all the time. So today it's Gwegwe question day. But that's a very good question because of it's actually our lived reality. In a sense that a lot of people, man, they create that safety net that we're talking about for themselves, whereby anything that is emotionally taxing, anything that is stretching them psychologically, they tend to step away from it. Because they don't understand the fact that it has to be uncomfortable. So that's number one. But the practical steps, just about what are the practical ways of actually going about it. I personally have not seen anyone in the world. I've not seen anyone who did not manage to improve when they have set like minuscule tasks or milestones for the things that they want to do. And then you can cut things down to the level that is manageable for you. Because of not, give you an example. Let's say this is a person who wants to become great at a particular trait. Let's say it's a fashion designer. I'm just giving an example. So you find out that the best fashion designers, there's a way they train, there's a way they execute themselves, there's a way they consume a specific content, whatever the case might be. So what this person has to do now is that, okay, on a daily basis, this is what I'm gonna do. And then if they can't manage it, they cut it down again. Because the thing of cutting things down to their finer, to a finer detail material, it's embarrassing for for a lot of people. You can't tell me that all I can manage is to wake up and write one sentence about my book. That is nothing. So people will think that. But actually, believe me, what they don't understand is that growth is not always linear. So you write that one sentence for your book. Trust me, tomorrow it's not going to be one sentence. It's definitely going to be 2 or 3 or 4. Before you know it, you're writing like the whole chapter a day, or a whole paragraph a day. So what I would suggest for people like that, Kwekwe, is that they really, really, really need to understand what is it that they can manage. Because what you manage, like I said, don't start from a deficit. What you can manage, trust me, bro, it compounds, and massively so. And it's not as linear as people think it is. You will do what you can manage. It's a little bit, tomorrow a little bit more. Before you know it, you're doing 10 times more than that. So, you are a big fan of hitting the gym. Give you an example. I'm sure that there was a time. Let's take one example. Let's say a bench press, for instance. So let's say you're bench pressing 60 kg. As an example, I know you're bench pressing more than that, but that's not the point. So let's say you're doing 60. You could not do more than that. There's a likelihood that you upped it by only 5. 2.5 this side, or maybe upped it by 2. Doesn't matter. But I can promise you, from 60 to 65, there's a likelihood that you didn't go 68, 69. There's likelihood that you went 70 or you went 75. Why? Because of growth compounds like that. Because what happens is that when you do those little minuscule tasks, what they do is that they do like this magic to you. They make you believe and know that you are capable of it. You are capable of that specific growth. So people must understand that certain things like that little, it actually helps, because of the whole intent is to make sure that you build the muscle to do the thing, and you build the muscle to do the thing by making sure that you do, like, you make the task as small as possible. So what we can do now is that so before I actually carry on, I'm gonna ask for another question, because there's the last point I want to make on this.
I do have a question.
Okay, cool.
Are they catalysts that people should look out for that are key to our transformation? Because sometimes it takes an external experience or external encounter for you to actually choose that path. I think for me personally, when I was in matric, I was told, I applied for IT and I got accepted. But it took someone who wasn't even my friend to come to me and say, you should go study sound engineering. And before they said that to me, I never ever considered applying for it or even looking into it. And that changed the whole trajectory of my life. Because I always thought I was just going to be another IT guy. So I think that, how do we identify? Because I feel like we continuously transform in life.
Yes.
And sometimes it's difficult to identify those people because they're not always going to have the courage to step up to you. So how do we identify catalysts and those moments?
I need to think about that, eh? So I'm gonna use a couple of examples that I've encountered, especially in my mentorship programs and my coaching programs. One, it is that look out for people who are in the space of helping people improve. So, like, coaches like myself, I'm a high performance coach. Yeah, I'm selling myself, guys. So you can look out for people like me, or you can look out for me. Let me put it like plain. Look out for people like that who are in the space of transforming people's lives, because of what it does is that they see things you don't see, like you mentioned. They are outside the drama of what's going on in your life. Then as a result, then they are in a position to can actually frame what is going on in your life in a different way that you're framing it, like that guy, like the guy that you're talking about, right? That's the first thing. And then secondly, again, it is that so after looking for such people, it is that, please guys, you are the sum total of the books that you read, people that you meet, and the places you go to. So we need to make sure that we inculcate this habit of being readers. We need to read, because of somebody condensed their 50 years of experience in a book. Read more, and then what it does is then sometimes it will spark a certain level of inspiration. You get inspired in a certain way, then you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna start to do this because of you read something in the book. And then again as well is that don't be the person who confines themselves in a particular setting. You're not a tree. Move around as much as you can. Meet as many people as you can. And then, like Jim Rohn likes to say, I like to quote Jim Rohn, guys. Jim Rohn likes to say that, he said that never miss a thing. Never miss a phrase in a song, a line in a song. Never miss a line that is being said in some script in a movie. Never miss a thing. Because of when you hear was like, he even went like, he was quoting Elton John's song where he says she lived a life like a candle in the wind. It's like, how do you miss that? Candle in the wind. Wind is blowing, but the candle is there, is lit. Something magical is happening for this candle to remain lit. So never miss a thing. So that thing helps, Kundai, whereby you never miss a thing. When you are listening to things that are inspiring, when you're watching a movie, never miss that line. So yes, so please, man, never miss a thing. Be a reader, move around, and then also seek out people who have devoted their lives to improving other people's lives, and that will help a great deal. Oh, you have a question? Yeah, you can ask the question. Yeah, please.
What does one do once they've reached the point in their life where they are now in a crossroads? Make or break situations.
You're at a crossroads. Make it make sense for me. No, it makes sense, the question,
Yeah.
but I want you to bring it home.
Being at the crossroads means, at least to me, that your next decision will change your life for the better or for worse. How do we make sure that we are on the right path then at the crossroads?
So for me, guys, so that's a good question, Tyrell. You're at a crossroads. It's either left or right, and you don't know if left is gonna make it work for you. You don't know right is the one that's gonna make it work for you. So what you do there? Let me put it this way. I prefer that you make a decision that you are at peace with. Are you at peace with the decision that you're making? That's the most important thing. At peace with it. Not to say that, are you sure it's going to work out? Because that's something that you can control, by the way. Right? Because you can say, like Kunda was making an example that it was either IT or it was either, but the guy came and told him about sound engineering. There's a possibility that he might not have gone for the sound engineering thing. There's a possibility that he might have gone for the IT. Does that mean it was not going to work out? We don't know. There's a possibility that it might have worked out as well. But he was at peace with the decision of, I think, man, somehow, even if I don't understand, even if though I can't see the whole staircase, but somehow something tells me that this is for me. I'm at peace with it. That's number one. You are at peace with it. So, somebody once asked me, like, how do you know if you made the right decision or not? And my answer was this. I said that the right decision is not necessarily the decision that yields the result that you want, because you can't control the result to an extent. But it is the decision that you are willing to back. I don't know if I'm making sense. If you are willing to back that decision, then it's the right one. But the one that you know that you can't account for when things fall apart, that's not the right one. The one that will make you point fingers at people. To say, but you made me do this. You said I must do sound engineering. Now the sound is not sounding. So you can't be that guy. So that means that's not your decision. That's not the decision that you were supposed to make. But the one that you can back to say that I did this and it does not work out. You'll be like, okay, no, it doesn't work out, but I learned 1, 2, and 3. And these are the things, the lessons that I'm taking from it. This is my next move. And I made this decision and I gave it my all. So I'm okay. So sometimes you just get to a point whereby, am I willing to stay behind this decision and back it and then be accountable? 100% so. And don't say my mentor made me do it, my teacher made me do it, kind of a thing. So be at peace with the decision and be able to back it or be accountable for it. So the last point I want to make on this thing of transformation is that, we need to transform so that we can survive the harsh conditions that come with our assignment. The harsh conditions that come with our assignment. As I was making an example with the butterfly thing, the caterpillar and the butterfly thing. If the caterpillar remains a caterpillar, then it can't survive the harsh conditions. Remember, I made that example of that story. I said this boy tried to help the caterpillar out of its shell, and then it died immediately after that. It's because of it was not yet transformed to survive the harsh conditions of being outside the shell. So it means now we need to transform so that the harsh conditions that come with that, we're able to handle them. Like for instance, like one of my colleagues here, Tyrell, like Tyrell is like, he loves music. He makes music, by the way. So if Tyrell, like in your music, for instance, it happens that you get catapulted to a certain level of fame and popularity, money and whatnot, before you actually transform. There are harsh conditions that come with being famous and being popular and having money. You might not be able to handle it. Somebody might say something, be like, I don't listen to light-skinned people. And then it will get to you. Just because somebody said, like, you are light-skinned and it gets to you, because you have not yet built the thick skin for it. I remember 50 Cent. He said this, like, that landed so much for me. He said that there is work that you're doing, the poems you're writing, the songs you're writing, the movies you're making, the content you're pushing out, and then you can see this is good work. This is proper stuff. And then you are disheartened by the fact that you are not popping yet.